Hey everyone and welcome. In this video we look at a trash article in the lamestream media regarding stamerers' blatant party politics and use of the NHS as a political weapon to beat the Tories with, and anyone else that doesn't clap, it would seem. According to Jeremy Vine's debate asking is it okay to shame your neighbours for not clapping, seems the media and Labour are determined to divide the Brits at every opportunity. It's titled, Keir Starmer calls for boost to mental health services to help UK respond to hidden cost of lurgy. Now, before I go further, I'm not attacking NHS workers here. I'm attacking Labour's blatant point scoring and making the NHS workers look weak. The bored nurse TikTok videos don't help on that front, but there you go. The NHS deserves no favourable treatment over others that had to work through lockdown. Also those that obeyed lockdown and were locked in the homes. We really need to get away from this groupthink culture, in my opinion. It's making us weak, divided. Groupthink doesn't gain equality, it oppresses. Groupthink's a disease. But anyway, let's read the article. Labour leader, our health and care workers are heroes, but they are not invulnerable. Keir Starmer has called for a boost to mental health services to help the UK respond to the hidden cost of the lurgy pandemic in trauma, fear and uncertainty. All festered by the news media. Are they not? Writing in the Independent, the Labour leader warned of the long-term effects that we've been telling everyone since they announced the lockdown about, that will be felt by key workers on the front line of the battle against lurgy in hospitals and care homes, as well as by those who have lost loved ones or forced by lockdown to live in isolation. In a message to mark Mental Health Awareness Week, he said Britain must capitalise on the spirit of national solidarity forged during the outbreak to construct a better future built on fairness. How well has that gone so far? Building things on fairness. You do realise if you prop one group up, you have to, by definition, oppress another. That's how it works. He called on the government to step up with immediate help for those at risk now, as well as commitment to build true parity between mental and physical health into the UK's healthcare system. Now, it started off so well, that, didn't it? It started off by saying we need to think about the people that have lost loved ones, which we do, and those forced into lockdown to live in isolation, which we do. But then within 2 paragraphs, he's now talking just UK healthcare system. So Keir's comments came as the UK's official death toll from lurgy rose by 338 to 36,000. Boris Johnson ordered a second government U-turn in 24 hours, yep, very weak-willed, on migrant health and care workers, exempting them from a £624 surcharge to pay for the NHS. It's actually to pay for the services that they would get for free. That's what it's for. And you know what's going to happen now, don't you? They're going to be calling for it for all people that have emigrated to this country, even if they haven't paid in. First Scottish Minister Nicola Sturgeon announced a careful relaxation of lockdown restrictions north of the border from the 28th of May. Yeah, you know what she's done? From what I can tell, she's allowed people to have a barbecue in the back garden. Great, that, isn't it? I don't know if that's true or not. If anyone knows any more information on that, let me know. Constitutional experts from the Institute of Government warn that Jacob Rees-Mogg plans to end virtual sittings of Parliament will make it more difficult for MPs to scrutinise the government. That is one of the most ignorant comments I have ever heard, to be honest. If they're not allowed to do virtual sittings, they would be in Parliament. How would that be more difficult for them to scrutinise the government? You absolute idiot, constitutional experts. What a moron. Highlighting a recent Royal College of Psychiatrists survey which found 43% increase in urgent and emergency appointments during the pandemic. I actually put that down. They didn't say anything about that NHS in that, did they at all? I actually put that down to the culture of mollycoddling everyone, the government getting involved in everything. I think that's what's caused all those increases. I think it's because the media have scared people stiff. That's what that is. Got nothing to do with the NHS. And this next comment says it all. Sir Keir voiced concern that only 0.1% of NHS workforce has taken advantage of the dedicated mental health hotline set up for them last month. Remember that number. 0.1% of NHS staff have took them up on it. Yeah? The overwhelming pressure faced by those working long hours day after day in hospitals filled with lurgy patients and care homes with elderly and vulnerable residents must be recognised, he said. You know what must be recognised? Who sent the people back that were infected and didn't tell the care homes? That's who should be recognised. We should be recognising those people, should we not? Our health and care workers are heroes. More so than anybody else. You see how this is swapped from the people that really need it to. We must save the NHS. You noticed how it's all medical profession now. But they are not invulnerable, said the Labour leader, which is true, but they're no more vulnerable than anybody else, are they? Many NHS and care staff have been forced to face this virus without adequate protective equipment, which is sourced by NHS managers. I would just like to put that out there. Lack of PPE leaves those on the front line in fear, caused by the management of the NHS. Fear for their own health and fear for spreading the virus to others. While we celebrate and clap our carers every week, do we? We should remember that many are struggling, working under extraordinary pressure, and this will have long-term effects. Can I just say at this point, I actually know a couple of nurses and they are very strong-willed people. They are not going to be falling left, right and centre to this sort of trash that they're trying to make out. 0.1% means that this is just them using the NHS and making up things to beat the Tories with, is it not? Labour Shadow Mental Health Minister Rosina Allen-Khan wrote to Health Secretary Matt Hancock earlier this month to call for an urgent national package of support for frontline workers, including post-traumatic stress disorder services, talking therapies and real-time data on suicide numbers. Dr. Allen-Khan, who has herself returned to work in the NHS during the outbreak, I bet she has. Have we not noticed how many of these Labour activists and Labour people are all suddenly running about in the NHS and getting themselves involved in things that are supposed to be non-partisan? We've noticed that, haven't we? Because I have. As I speak to my colleagues across the country and in our unions, it is clear that there is a rise in suicide, self-harm and suicidal ideation among frontline NHS and care staff. Is there? Well, why are they not using the health line that they've been given a month ago? If 0.1% are taking them up on that, that sort of discredits that whole comment, does it not? What does the government plan to do in order to help frontline workers who are dealing with suicidal thoughts at this time? I would like to stress at this point, what were they doing previously to this time in regards to mental health? Because there's been failings across the board. It's not just this.
Well, it seems to me key workers are not just NHS. It's more than one key worker.
This is the problem. Yeah, this is the problem I'm seeing with all of this. They're grouping everyone. Everyone's a group, and with groupthink, what they're trying to do is make everyone's group equal. Well, to do that, you have to oppress a group.
Yeah. But mental health should be across the board. It shouldn't just be for the NHS because of this. These people in lockdown who had mental health problems beforehand, who could be so worse off now.
Well, we've got friends and neighbours that have had to work right the way through in close proximity with people. So, I mean, this is my issue more than anything, to be honest, guys. This is the main issue. The NHS are being picked out by Labour specifically because of the NHS. It's nothing to do with everybody else. Everybody else that's had to carry on working, like the food production, like my lovely lady said. Do they not deserve the same sort of recognition? Because I think they do just as much. But anyway, I digress, let's continue. Recent paper from the NHS Clinical Leaders Network warned that frontline clinicians and care workers were under enormous emotional strain from working in high-risk environments with changing job roles and working patterns, an exhaustingly intense workload combined with a restricted ability to carry out their usual compassionate roles towards patients and their families. The paper warned research of effects on mental health from pandemics show that clinical staff, if not adequately supported, are at a higher risk of experiencing moral injury, that's a different one, and developing mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. How are they more so? And what happens about bus drivers, train drivers, people that work in food? Delivery men. Surveys of healthcare staff in China's Hubei province, where lurgy first emerged, found a 50% prevalence rate for depression, 44% for anxiety disorders, 36% for insomnia, and 37% for PTSD, the paper noted. I would like to interject at this point. China have got suicide nets around buildings. How are they using China's See, this is the problem, isn't it? He's using China's numbers to represent the UK. Seems to be happening a lot recently, doesn't it, that? So keir said that 1 in 5 health professionals in the UK have said they are more likely to leave as a result of their experience of the lurgy pandemic. No evidence though, no link to evidence of that. It's just him saying it. Okay, I believe you, Keir. The government must ensure that mental health provision is available for all NHS workers and care staff, now and for as long as they need it, he said. Just for NHS and care staff. So we don't need mental health provisions for everybody, do we not? Are we not all in the same positions? I thought we were supposed to be all in the same boat together. Are we not supposed to be all in this together? Seems not at the moment, doesn't it? See what I mean? But he said that support must not stop with the health and care workers, with many of those who have lost relatives, seen their jobs and businesses disappear, and enduring months of anxiety, facing difficult times as the country emerges from its biggest crisis of a generation. Well, at least he's thrown it in at the end, though. Thanks very much for that, Keir Starmer. We all appreciate the acknowledgement that there are just a couple of people, but we've got to think of the main ones, which is NHS workers and care staff, obviously. Healthcare workers aren't the only ones who are struggling, which is very true. This is an immense difficult time for all of us. The isolation which many are experiencing during lockdown is having a huge impact, particularly those with existing mental health conditions. Meanwhile, families who have lost loved ones are often unable to properly say goodbye, which is horrible. I really do feel for the families. I really do on that one, to be honest. That must be heartbreaking. Yeah. Worsening the trauma of their bereavement. While every member of the community can play a part by supporting friends and neighbours, which we mostly are doing, it was crucial that the government delivers immediate help for those at risk, such as shielded people self-isolating alone and those with existing mental health problems, he said. He also added, looking beyond the crisis, we need to ensure mental health services have the resources they need to cope. This means having an ambition and commitment to truly putting mental and physical health on par with promoting the positive sources of mental well-being while tackling the negatives. I know this crisis can feel endless and claustrophobic, but do not stop hoping or helping one another. We will get through this. When we do, a better future is possible and we will build it together. Comrade. Right. What's my opinion on this? Well, first off, this is Andrew Woodcock, the political editor for The Independent, reporting on a report that Keir Starmer wrote himself. So this is a hack, in my opinion, reporting on a hack. Secondly, it's just using the NHS for a political football again, isn't it? Bouncy, bouncy, bouncer. Labour weren't screaming about mental health before this episode, was there? And trust me, there is an issue on the mental health side in this country, there is. But to just start screaming about it now and to predominantly scream about one sector when there were so many sectors that were still working and still at risk and still doing their duty is shameful. To put it in on a brief little paragraph at the top, totally ignore everybody else and then slam it in at the bottom is because they know in the media that people don't usually read to the end of an article, so they wouldn't actually see the end part. In regards to Labour using the NHS, they've done it their entire existence as far as I know, the NHS's existence anyway. It's always been a political football to beat the Tories with and anyone else that supports the Tories. So it is more of the same, but I thought it was quite revealing to show that they're only really truly caring about the NHS and care workers, even though we have a lot of sectors that are just as at risk and have done just as good a duty. And we're not clapping them, are we, every Thursday? We're on a huge countrywide, practically forced virtue signal now with the Jeremy Vine show saying that we should be grassing on our neighbours, because that's what it is. Stasi tactics, is it not? But anyway, let me know what you think on this one. Do you think it's a bit disgusting? Because I do. Do you think it's just more of the same? Do you think we do have an issue with the mental health of nurses? You've got to remember that it was 0.1% and they've had a month to ring it, and it is an anonymous line. I have looked into that. So they wouldn't actually be risking their employment by ringing it. So you'd think if there were such a high number of them thinking about it, wouldn't they be looking for help, what with them being in the health industry themselves? You see where I'm coming with this? If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe. Share it out, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.